It looks like hell on earth.
The Cameron Peak fire explodes in the high wind, forcing more evacuations and choking northern Colorado with smoke.
It's like our whole neighborhood is burning.
A contractor steps forward to defend the security guard involved in Saturday's deadly shooting.
What Melvin Gordon's DUI means for his future in court and with the Broncos.
And Colorado's hospitals still have a ways to go before they're full, so why are experts so worried right now?
In fact, it was 200 a few weeks ago, and then 250, and now it's creeping up towards 300. That's what's really concerning.
The Cameron Peak fire isn't likely to go down as the largest of the year, but it is likely to be the most destructive.
Dozens of homes and buildings already have burned, and tonight more are in danger. Spurred by these strong winds today, the fire has pushed its way toward Masonville, Redstone Canyon, and so many other communities.
The sheriff's office isn't telling people to pack up and go. They are telling them to leave everything behind and get away as quickly as possible.
Denver7's Sean Toll begins our coverage from Larimer County. And Sean, you have heard from some very worried homeowners today.
Very worried homeowners, Shannon, and today's winds really changed the dynamic of how they're fighting the fire. And if you actually take a look behind me right here, you can see it's grown just in the past few hours, and it's also increased the fears of those under mandatory evacuations, all which, as you mentioned, have come up just in the past few hours as well, and that these people are just worried that their properties may be at even greater risk.
It's terrifying.
Warren Parks knows how bad the Cameron Peak fire is. He doesn't need to see it.
It looks like hell on earth. I can only imagine with these winds and temperatures what the conditions are like up there. I can only imagine how dangerous and how quickly the fire is moving.
He and his neighbors evacuated Buckhorn Canyon this weekend for the second time. And with Wednesday's conditions,
Sunday we thought it was going to run then, but then we got a little bit of rain and snow, so then I was back to like, okay, this might be okay. And then when this wind event blew up, we just knew it was over.
This makes it extremely challenging for our firefighters, especially right now where it's most active.
And seeing the massive plume of smoke being kicked up just adds to the anxiety.
You can't help but look at the smoke and wonder, is that ash from my house? Is that ash from my neighbors? And just, in a way, it's frustrating that we don't know details, but at the same time, it's our worst fear. So we all know the timber's going to be gone, our homes may be gone. There's not a lot of hope at this point.
But for Parks and his neighbors like Diana Hamilton, all they can really do now is take comfort in each other, families sharing a fate that is now completely out of their control, and clinging to the hope of a day when the Cameron Peak fire is a distant memory.
In about 5 years' time, the flowers will be amazing again. I could have my bee business again. It's just, there's hope for the future. It's not the end.
Also today, the Red Cross opened an evacuation site at the Embassy Suites in Loveland, trying to offer some help for those people who now can't go home. Reporting live in Larimer County, Sean Toll, Denver7.
Thank you, Sean. Although, gotta love that optimism they have up there. Thank you so much. All right, now to Mother Nature and what she has in store for the next several hours. Mike, we know there's a cold front coming in, and now his shot is breaking up a little bit, so we will check back in with him here shortly to talk more about the impact of weather. All right, the daycare provider charged in the death of a 3-month-old was looking after 14 to 17 children at the time of her arrest. That Lone Tree Daycare was unlicensed, and the woman running it had been told by the state 5 times that she needed to shut it down. Douglas County deputies have not said how the child died, although an affidavit shows suspect Amanda Anderson was telling other parents the cause was SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, and she had no proof of that.
Severance-based Isborne Security Services was the company used by Pinkerton to hire Matthew Dolliff, the security guard who shot and killed a man during a protest in Denver Saturday. Company owner Matt Isborne sent us a statement in which he defended Dolliff's character, saying he consistently demonstrated professionalism and never had a complaint lodged against him. Well, we wanted to speak with Mr. Isborne about Dolliff to ask where he stands on the confusion about whether Dolliff was licensed to work as a security guard in Denver. He did not return our calls or our emails.
For the last several weeks, we've said that Colorado is going the wrong direction when it comes to containing coronavirus. But lately, it seems less like we're flirting with disaster than hurtling toward it. The state confirmed another 700 cases of the virus just today. And we have never experienced a stretch this bad, not even close. 405 hospital beds are occupied by patients suspected or confirmed to have COVID. And taken alone, that number isn't terribly concerning. After all, Colorado has thousands more beds ready to go. However, experts aren't looking solely at tonight's number. They're looking at tonight's number versus the one from last week and the one a week from now.
If you think about hospitalizations as the tip of the iceberg, for every person in the hospital, there's probably loads more out in our communities who are infectious. But also what we care about is the growth in infections. So our infections, and we measure this by hospitalizations, how quickly are hospitalizations growing? And when we see them rise very quickly, that can be worrisome. Because what we don't want to be is having a conversation in a couple of weeks that hospital numbers are at 500 or 1,000.
73 people were admitted to a Colorado hospital today. 34% of the state's supply of critical care ventilators are in use.
And an eclectic bunch added to the state's list of active COVID outbreaks tonight. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office is reporting 2 confirmed cases and 2 presumed. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife Office in Littleton has 4, and 7 people participating in Bunko Night in Mesa County have caught it as well. For the second time this year, Governor Polis is putting himself through some public discomfort for the common good. The first time was that COVID nose swab. Today, a flu shot. Rockies pitcher Kyle Freeland, mascots Dinger and Miles, Broncos cheerleaders, and Broncos Ring of Famer Bill Thompson also all stopped by to encourage you to get vaccinated.
You know, despite the latest delay, Denver public school leaders insist they are fully committed to teaching students in person this semester. And parents we spoke with today say they would love to have their kids back in the classroom, but right now they're just not holding their breath.
I would rather they just say, you know what, fall semester is wash, we're not doing any in person, and let's go from there.
As a parent, I need communication, and I need it to be transparent, and I need honesty. I don't want to be told we're going to go back again and not be able to go back.
Now, DPS had hoped to have most kids back in the classroom by now. The new date for middle and high school students right now is November 9th.
The Denver Fire Department has a diversity problem. Depending on who you ask, they are either working to address it or paying lip service to the problem. Denver7's Ivan Rodriguez reports.
The numbers speak for themselves. In 2019, more than 600 white males applied for Denver police officer testing, compared to about 250 Latinos and 90 black men. The Denver Fire Department has the same pecking order but fewer applicants, especially among women, with only 5 applying in 2019.
We're working hard to ensure that we let everyone know, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, that there is the capability to become a Denver firefighter.
Head of recruitment Greg Pixley says they strive to have an inclusive and diverse fire department, but also highlights the demographics within the department paints a similar picture to Denver's population.
I am a better firefighter if I have a Latina or a black gentleman working with me, so that we have the capability to infuse our social awareness to provide the best service for the citizens of Denver.
But for David Lane, representing 2 women suing Denver over alleged racial and gender discrimination, DFD is anything but inclusive.
I think it's pretty well known in the African American community that the Denver Fire Department is not a minority-friendly department, especially when it comes to African Americans and especially women. One was advised, just keep your head down and act like a slave, you'll be fine. Don't complain, just, keep on going.
While that case continues to unravel, Denver police and fire tell me having departments that reflect the communities they serve is crucial, and more innovative ways need to be created to let people believe they can actually be a part of it. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver7.
The state revealing tonight it accidentally shared the personal information of some 30,000 Colorado employees. The Department of Personnel and Administration tells us a spreadsheet containing Social Security numbers, dates of birth, and more was sent to, quote, certain institutions of higher education. The state says it has no evidence of misinformation or this information being misused, I should say, but says employees might consider getting a new Social Security number or new driver's license.
Broncos running back Melvin Gordon cited with driving under the influence this week by Denver police. Documents obtained by Denver7 show Gordon going 71 miles per hour when he was pulled over near 5th and Spear. The speed limit there, by the way, is 35. The officer who stopped him said his speech was slurred, his breath smelled of alcohol, and his balance was off. And Gordon is due in court in November, and we'll have more on how this will affect his time on the field later in this broadcast.
A Glendale man responsible for hitting and killing an Uber driver and his passenger is likely to spend the rest of his life in prison. Yasser Hassan and Mark Carla were leaving the Garth Brooks concert at Empower Field last June when the car they were in was blindsided. Well, Hassan, the driver, he died at the scene, and Carla, a dentist and the son-in-law of Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers, passed away some time later. The driver of the stolen Jeep that hit them was Jeffrey Sloan, a career criminal. He's now been convicted of vehicular homicide and sentenced to 72 years in prison.
Well, thieves thought they were taking a scooter. They end up taking so much more. We'll have that story when we return.